All right, welcome, beloveds. Happy Soulfield Sunday. I'm going to begin by lighting our candle. As most of you know, we light the red candle as a way of really claiming this as sacred and holy space, a space that welcomes everything that truly serves your highest and best at the level of soul, and that actually asks lovingly but firmly everything else to exit the space. And so we come in with intention into the soul field, and we come into the breath. And as you come into the breath, feel yourself dropping down into the pelvic bowl, really landing in the sacred center of the body temple. Breathing there and calling all of you here into this sacred now moment, into this beloved community, and into the field that has already been created for us, for our sacred support, for our awakening. We'll begin with our opening prayer. We come with grateful, reverent, and open hearts to drink from the deep well of our eternal nature. As we dive into the soul field together, we are held within a sacred and holy embrace by the source of all love, light, and grace. In this eternal now, we actively invoke our unique pathways to source and the beings of love light that support our divine evolving. We allow our mind, body, spirit to expand into the holy realms where magic and miracles are commonplace. As we minister to ourselves, we minister to one another and our family humanity. We recognize we are one in the holy wholeness. We allow all we do here today to ripple out through our lives as a witness, a living witness of divine grace for the benefit of all beings. And so we are lifted together. And I want you to just notice what you're bringing with you today. Those of you who are here live, and also those of you joining us via recording in the eternal now, what is with you as you enter in? Just take a moment to notice any desires you're coming with. Just take a little inventory. How do you feel physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, relationally? What are some of the joys and gratitudes that you bring with you today? Today, I'm bringing with me the joy and the gratitude of time with my nephew and my sister-in-law. What are some of the challenges, concerns, fears, even sorrow that you might be bringing with you? And as you notice, you just offer it all into the field, into our transformational space. We're going to attune today using our standard affirmation that I call the standard ear rub. And you can do this by rubbing around the earlobes, both sides, if you can, or tapping at the thymus, or a little bit of both, whatever you feel called to. I'm not going to place it up on the screen. I'm just going to have you repeat after me. I'll say it twice. So I'll say it once so you can hear it, and then once you'll say it with me. And we'll keep those affirmations rolling. They're just 3 short ones. And so here we go at the ear rub. I completely love and approve of myself. I completely love and approve of myself. I see myself and all I do through the eyes of love. I see myself and all I do through the eyes of love. I am safe. I am safe. I completely love and approve of myself. I completely love and approve of myself. I see myself and all I do through the eyes of love. I see myself and all I do through the eyes of love. I am safe. I completely love and approve of myself. I completely love and approve of myself. I see myself and all I do through the eyes of love. I see myself and all I do through the eyes of love. I am safe. I am safe. This standard ear rub is really about attuning us to the energies that we need to support us on a transformational awakening journey. And that's really what we're going to talk a little bit about today. We're kind of in between series. We have a new one coming that's going to be about becoming a mystic embedded in community, what it is to encounter soul. But we're not going to go into that yet today. That's just a little like, oh, that's coming. What we're going to really work with today are what are some of those both like prerequisites in terms of self-care and self-love for being on a transformational journey, for being on a journey of waking up more fully to who you really are. And what is a kind of general map? Sometimes when we're taking a journey, it's helpful to have a general idea of where we're going. Like we may take some little side detours and whatever, but sometimes it's fun to just completely get lost. But sometimes getting completely lost doesn't serve. And so I believe when we're really on a transformational journey, it's helpful to have a general sketch of what that map looks like so that when we're at different places along that pathway, we can rest assured, like, oh, this is what that looks like. You know how when you're taking a car trip and you're like, I don't remember that sign. I'm not sure. And it's so helpful to have the map be like, no, go ahead and turn left. And you're like, okay, good. I am in the right place. Right. So this is what's really helpful about having a bit of a transformational map. Those of you who follow me and Awaken Unity and Soulfield on social media, you might have seen a post that went out, I think on Friday, about something that I'm going to start offering called Transformational Tools Tuesdays. Transformational Tool Tuesdays. It's a little bit of a tongue twister and also alliteration. Um, Part of why I'm offering that is that on that journey, once we understand we're on a transformational journey, which you are, you wouldn't even be here. Once we understand that, once we have a general sense of the map, we can find ourselves in places that need support. And so you'll have access, you certainly have access to all of the Soul Field videos, which have tons of places of support. But we're going to start to drop in these kind of little short things on Tuesdays on social media. So follow us if you want those. There'll also be recordings on the YouTube channel if you follow on YouTube. So talking transformation, that's our goal today. I'm going to ask a question, and I'm going to ask those of you who are in the eternal now to just pause the recording, jot down a couple of notes for yourself. We're going to pause and have a little chat. The question is pretty simple. What are some of the clues? Like, how do you know you're in the midst of transformation? What are some of the clues? How do you know you're in the midst of transformation? So we just had this really juicy chat about what are some clues that let us know that we are on a transformational journey, that we're in the midst of it. Somebody brought up something that I think is really important. I'm going to start with that, which is that those of you who are here are most likely spiritual seekers, and you just got done watching Moana for like the second time. I love that show. You're wayfarers, you're like wayfinders. So you are constantly on a journey to discover the next place of your awakening, to discover the next place where your heart can open more fully and say yes to all of life, to discover the next place where you can really walk in integrity with everything you've learned on the journey thus far. And so when that's the case, we're almost always in some kind of transformational process. And so knowing what are some of the clues for those kind of big hiccup moments, being able to see where we are on the map is helpful. So some people brought up in that process, when you know you're sort of in the middle of it, it's a little harder to ground because what you used to plug into for safety and security isn't there, or the tools that you used to use aren't working. Somebody brought up, and this one is so, so true across the board for almost everybody, the patterns, like the patterns that are maybe maladaptive, that don't serve you, the ways that you're plugged into, or the cultural mind, the programmed mind, those things get louder. Like you have to see yourself. You're like, oh, that's me. Ah. So your patterns get louder. And the emotions will sometimes get louder. The fears will get louder. The anxieties will get louder. Sometimes there's a feeling of like, I can't quite find myself, kind of almost like a floatiness. Sometimes when we're right smack dab in the middle of transformation, it can have a lonely quality because there's not really a way for us to articulate. We don't know where we are or who we are yet. So we can't exactly articulate that to another. And so sometimes we can feel a little more like, oh, this is all me. And especially when it's hard to ground and it's hard to plug in, that feeling of like, this is all up to me, I'm all alone, I'm stuck here in the guck can really get loud, right? That can really get loud. So start to know, like, here are some general things we talked about in transformation. The first piece on the map is to know you've started the journey. And these are some of the clues, right? Sometimes it's like difficulty quieting the mind, like in a place where maybe you might have a nice quiet mind at the end of the night as your baseline. You might notice like, oh, I just like thinking about this and that and thinking about this and that and worrying about that thing and this thing and can't quite get settled. Like that can be a clue. So we can kind of get a sense of it. Sometimes our life tells us, like sometimes there's a big invitation and we see it. It's sort of like something's invited us, something's happened, like in our lives that we didn't expect, or maybe that we did expect and we were waiting for, and we just know, like, okay, now it's time for a different kind of blossoming. But transformation is ultimately that blossoming, but the process can be a little harrowing. And we must begin with some tools in our tool belt, so to speak, that are just essential for this kind of journey. And I'm going to speak a little bit about these. They really have to do with the ways we hold ourselves, the ways that we love ourselves. And then we can talk just a little bit more about what we might encounter in relationship to how we're holding ourselves and how we're loving ourselves. When we embark on a process of awakening, we often think like, oh, I want to be awake. I want to be full of love. I want to be not fearful around this thing or that thing. And those all seem like beautiful and wonderful intentions. And then we encounter ourselves. We encounter the places where we've been stuck. We encounter the places where our mind is limiting us, where we have a well of emotions that has yet to be untended. We encounter the places where we actually have to change how we show up to ourselves and in the world. And these encounters can be challenging. Foundationally, to go on a journey like that, we need the capacity to hold ourselves in love, to hold ourselves in love. This is critical. It's like mission critical. Culturally, we have been taught to have a sharp, harsh, judging eye toward ourselves, way more in general than we have been taught to have a compassionate, loving, understanding eye towards ourselves. Early on, we get taught that there's a particular standard in a certain box and we're meant to fit in it. And if we do, we're a good human. And if we don't, we're not a good human. Right. And it gets programmed in our brain like that because as children, we're very black and white. We don't understand gray. It's why we don't teach most children algebra till, they're in their 10, 11, 12, 13 years old because we don't even have the real capacity for true abstract thinking fully engaged. Like, not that we don't, but we're very black and white. Something's this way or it's that way. It's not like very gray and mishy-moshy and sometimes this way and sometimes that way, right? So we develop these ways of perceiving ourselves early on. And those ways tend to be pretty harsh and pretty black and white, right? So if we see something that we don't think, because we've been taught, is good, we will come down on ourselves pretty harshly. And the thing is, in order to transform, we have to be able to see ourselves lovingly. Because if we're going to come down harsh on ourselves, we will just kind of avoid seeing ourselves. We won't see our part in something. We'll know we're in a challenge, but we won't see our part because we don't want to come down hard on ourselves. So we'll just walk right around that part. So being able to hold yourself with loving, compassionate eyes, to see something and be very gentle and forgiving is important. I'm going to give an example that's very recent in my life. I'm in the middle of some reorganization with some financial things, and with the blessing of paying off a kind of significant chunk of a debt. And I set it all up to get paid off, and the company accidentally pulled it out of my bank account twice. Two times the big amount of money. And I was like, okay, I like in that moment, I really knew like this is all perfect. I know that this reorganization has all these layers. I was already tracking like some spiritual stuff, emotional stuff, lineage stuff. Like I was holding it, and I was like, all right, I know. Okay. So I get on the phone and I get it handled. They're going to put it back in my account. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. At the longest, it'll be 3 days. Okay. All right. So we're day 3. The money's not in my account, and I call the company again, and I'm like, oh, y'all made this mistake, and you said you were going to put it back in my account, and here we are on day 3. I just want to make sure it's coming today into my account. And the person says, oh, well, that's not happening. Whoever you talked to, they got it wrong. It's actually 3 days to like get the order in, and then it takes 5 business days for the wire transfer to happen. At this point, I was at my threshold of trust, and I'm held in the divine embrace, and all is well, and whatever else. And I find myself going, I'm pretty sure there is someone in your organization who knows how to send a wire transfer. If you can pull the money out of my account in one day, you should be able to put it back in one day. And I'm elevated like that, and it's not this person's fault that I'm talking to, of course. And it's actually no one's fault because I get that there's a divine thing happening. I already know that. But it's like it tripped my switch, like I couldn't hold it. And so I get off the phone and I'm like, oh, Luminaria, like you knew and you still lost it. And I could see that, and I could really decide, and I am deciding, like, I don't care if the threshold is $14,000 or $28,000 or $50,000. Like, I don't care what that threshold is. You're going to be kind because you already know something sacred is happening here. And there's a reason for that timing. And there's a reason twice a mistake was made. I know this. I don't know what, I don't know why yet. I don't know that, but I know. And so I'm going to hold myself to a higher integrity. And in that moment, I'm going to choose like, hey, this is what I do. Everybody has a lot of space until they've crossed too many lines, and then I get justified in being snarky. That's my pattern. Raise your hand if you agree. I've been working to make that threshold higher and higher. Like you have to do a lot to get the snarky me these days. But that was a lot. And what I know for myself is that I don't want that to be my standard. I want my standard to be that no matter what, I'm sitting down in the sacred truth. And it doesn't mean I don't have emotions, but it does mean I'm going to act with respect and kindness, that I am going to be the beacon of light I'm here to be. to whoever's in front of me, no matter what. But I saw myself lovingly. Like I could have a lot of compassion, a lot of compassion. That's a hard moment. And I immediately, once I saw myself, I started sending love and light to that person and blessing them and thanking them for their role in being a mirror and showing me where my limitation was. Right. But we must have that care for ourselves because otherwise I would have gotten off the phone and I wouldn't even have seen that I was snarky. I wouldn't even have seen that I crossed my line. I would have just stayed in my righteousness because I would be really upset with myself if I behaved that way, if I was going to be harsh and judgy. So the reason I could see myself immediately, one of the big reasons, is that I'm willing to hold myself with love. This is a key on our journey of awakening, is that whatever we see it with love. And it's not excusing away the behavior. Right? I'm still choosing the standard that I want to live by. I'm still deciding to upgrade. I'm understanding that that's part of my upgrade and that maybe that 5 days is my cooling off period. You can have your money when you settle down. I'm just kidding. But really like this capacity to allow the emotion to be there. That emotion was there because that's part of what's ready to be transformed. Right? So here's where another thing comes in that I didn't name, but I have named already. And that is a key on a transformational journey is understanding that it's held in grace. That even when it gets treacherous in some way or another, they've pulled 2 times the big giant amount of money out of your bank account and you were counting on 1, and now you're overdrawn by a big amount of money. Like, even when that happens, that's holy and sacred. And there's a way through that is divine and beautiful and held in love. And so really remembering that it's held in the divine embrace is another prerequisite for the transformational journey. And then the other 2 I'll speak to, one is named. It's like not just remembering, but actively plugging in. We talk about this all the time. Why do we talk about this all the time? Because actively plugging in is an essential part of our awakening journey. We must be able to actively plug in. So that means we've practiced, we have a practice, we know how to plug in, because when we're in the challenging space, it's harder. So if we practice so that those moments when the hard stuff happens, we can still connect, right? So someone said it's harder to ground. It is. It's harder to plug in. It is. It's harder to find your center. It is. When you're in the midst of transformation, it's harder. So we have to have a spiritual practice that allows us to plug in even when it's hard. And sometimes that means spiritual community. So that's part of why I do Soul Field. It's part of why we come together in this way, is so that A, we're practicing, and B, we have the support of others. Because something happens when 2 or more gather with sacred intention. And that is, we amplify the divine frequencies. We amplify our access to grace. It's like, it's not just 2 plus 2, it's exponential. So it just opens. These things are actually, interestingly enough, not the topic today, but like these are measurable. Like we have data and science that can measure what happens in the field when people gather together, and it amplifies energy. Electromagnetics are strengthened and it creates a field of grace. And that's why, for example, in our prayer, we say we allow all we do here to ripple out for the benefit of all beings as a divine living witness, right? Because we know that we are a field generator together right now. It's beautiful. So having deep care and love and compassion for yourself, seeing yourself through the eyes of love, that was part of our affirmation, right? I love and approve of myself. I see myself and all I do through the eyes of love. Key requirement for the journey. I'm in the divine embrace, so therefore I am safe. I am safe. Right? That was part of our affirmation today. And I know how to actively activate that. And I know how to support myself in transforming. So I have tools at my disposal. So you better believe I got off that call, and not only did I come into center, not only did I send beautiful energy out, I went, okay, so I have a place where I have a story. Like if it was, a smaller dollar amount, I would probably wouldn't have done that. But I have a story that like at a certain dollar amount, there's scarcity or there's fear about moving that much money around or something like that. And I can see if I look in my lineage, I understand where that comes from. And so I sat down right then and there and I did a round of Be Set Free Fast. And then I made note, like, okay, I have more work to do on that. I didn't have time right then. I like literally had to go on to my next thing. But I took like 2 minutes before I did my next thing. And I just went late to my next thing because I understand that bringing transformational support right when it happens is super, super powerful and super important. And you know what? I'll tell you, just with that, I haven't even gone back to it. I haven't given it a second thought. I haven't worried about the money. My bank already knows what happened. They're handling it with me in this particular way. Like it's really all fine. And I feel the fineness of it. And I'm not upset at that company. I am, however, going to be closing my account with them because I do not like how they made multiple mistakes. I don't think that shows that they're balanced, and I don't want to be affiliated with that. But I don't have any anger at them. I don't have any anger at myself. I don't have any fear about that money. It'll show up when it shows up. I know that. If I have to call back, I'll call back. I'll be kind and loving because I took the time to understand what it was showing me. So giving ourselves these kind of 4 core tools, I'm going to name them again. Deep self-love and self-care, seeing ourselves and everything we do through the eyes of love and compassion. Recognizing fully that we are held in the divine embrace, that whatever is happening is held in the divine embrace. Then actively plugging into that support. Recognizing and plugging in are different things. I'm in the divine embrace. I'm purposefully plugging into support. And then fourth, like activating our transformational powers, the tools that we have at our disposal to help ourselves transform. Those of you who've been with me for a long time have a host of tools in your back pocket. And there are many simple tools that are also available. And many of you have your own tools that you use when you are ready to transform something. Tools can be as simple as taking time to journal, taking a few cleansing breaths. They can be sophisticated, like something like Be Set Free Fast. Some of you know this. They can be using a meditation from the soul field. They can be something very complex, like a sacred geometric light emanation. They can be something very simple, like talking to someone who's really kindred, who really knows how to hold you spiritually when you're in a challenge, who will see with you also through the eyes of love where you're out of alignment or out of integrity, who will help you remember you're not alone, who will help you plug in, etc. So these are the sort of prerequisites. We talked a little bit already about some of the ways we know we're on a transformational journey. And I'm going to just highlight those again. Like we know we're on it when things get harder, when our patterns get louder, when it's more challenging to plug in, when we're more emotional. One we didn't speak of is sometimes we'll find ourselves more tired or just wanting to zone out. Like I just want to like unplug, zone out, not the normal, like, oh, like I really actually didn't get enough sleep, need rest kind of tired, but what I'll call is transformational tired. Things aren't working the way they used to work. Okay, we're on the journey. Knowing that some of those things are normal things to encounter can help us relax and then help us bring support to ourselves around that. So if it's harder to ground, then what do we do when we really need to ground? Maybe we go and we put our feet on the earth. We go walk on the beach. Maybe we sit and we do a longer meditation than we might otherwise do. Maybe we eat grounding foods, like we get ourselves some root vegetables and we start to ground that way, right? So we might avoid certain things. We might avoid a TV show that can stir our emotions because we're already stirred. We might avoid that phone call to the family member where we know sometimes it can go good and sometimes it can go sideways. So I don't have the bandwidth right now, so I'm going to protect my energy a little bit. When we're in the midst of transformation, we sort of set the intention. I want to reharmonize something in my life. And then we usually dive down. We go into the underworlds. I call it dumpster diving. We go down to the dumpster and we discover what's in the way of that. And so we start to encounter these things that are pretty challenging, that show us where our core fears are. Like the example I gave you, like that was part of my dumpster dive. Having that mistake happen, that sacred mistake, made me have to dive down to the place where something was sitting inside of me, both an issue around the money itself, and also some place inside of myself where I've given myself permission to be less than loving, bright, shiny light that I am if someone crosses too many lines. Right. So I went down and I pulled out these treasures. They're treasures because these are the things that are in the way of me living what I truly desire to live. So we go dumpster diving. We understand what's in the way. We pull out the beauty that's there for us. And then we allow ourselves to actually be changed. So when the things we used to plug into for safety don't work, then we're called to plug into something else. Usually when we transform, we have this desire to go one direction. Like, I want to be full of more love, which is so beautiful. But we don't expand in a singular direction. We live largely in a polarity consciousness, so we actually expand both directions simultaneously. But truly at the level of soul, we live in a spherical consciousness. So when we're intending to experience more of our love, we also will experience more of our shadow, more of the part of us that's hurting, more of the part of us that would, give ourselves a shortcut and decide it's okay to be rude to the person on the phone who didn't actually do anything wrong except answer the phone in that moment. Right? So we get to expand and see all of us. And then that is what opens our capacity. So understanding that a transformational journey means we're expanding at minimum bidirectionally. And oftentimes why we're a little disoriented is because we're expanding spherically. We're touching future parts of ourselves. We're touching past parts of ourselves. We're touching other dimensions of our consciousness. And all of that is coming together to help us reform and reshape in alignment with what we're intending in the now moment. So we encounter some strange things. Sometimes we'll have strange dreams. Sometimes people will show up in ways that are really painful to kind of show us where our pain lives. They will activate us. So on a transformational journey, we will often get activated in our pain. And it will often be like a pivotal thing, especially if we've done a lot of transformational work along the way. It will be a pivotal thing where it can really get us, right? Like those first couple things, they didn't get me. I mean, I didn't like it. I didn't love it, but I wasn't gotten. I didn't get gotten until it upped the ante, right? Then it got me. And that's where, like, when that gets gotten, and wherever that's stored in my body, in my mind, in my emotions, it's now up. It's up on the surface. And now it can actually transform. It's not hidden deep in my belly, right? So a lot of times those core pains, core ancient pains, the story I was telling isn't really about that, but sometimes those core ancient pains, they'll get triggered. And sometimes they get triggered by the people closest to us that we most trust in some ways, or the things in life that we most count on, because those are the place that can shake us so deeply. And that's part of the transformational journey, is to shake that up and then to love ourselves and it so much that we give it a place to transform. It's not there just so we feel more pain, right? It's there so that our pain can be wrapped in the love that we have access to. It's there so that our pain can be held in the divine embrace. And it's there so that it can transform us, that it can wake up what wants to be woken up. It can set the new standard, etc. So that's a lot. I'm going to invite you to take a big, deep breath with me. You probably see yourself and see your life in some of the things that I've said. You might be right smack dab in the middle of one of these big transformational doozies as we speak. You might be remembering a time. But we all understand that when this happens, if we can understand that it's just part of the map, we can hold it with more ease. So it doesn't mean it's not hard, but when we remember this is as it should be, then we're not in the freak out about why is this happening? I don't understand. Why is this happening to me? Why am I like this? Am I okay? Will I ever be okay? I don't know if I'll ever make it through this. Like those kinds of worries can settle down. Because we're like, no, love, here's where you are on the map. And all the things you're experiencing, they're just so. They're just as they should be. So let's bring some extra love. Let's take that Epsom salt bath every day. Let's sage ourselves. Let's make sure we walk on the beach. Let's call our soul sister, our soul brother, and really talk that out. Let's do some extra meditation. Let's make sure we eat really well. Let's feed ourselves really well. Let's avoid the impulse for the sugar and the Netflix and those kinds of things as best we can. Let's reach out, even though it's hard, and say, like, I'm having a hard time. Can you just say some prayers with me? Can you hold me in a love field? Once we know where we are, once we know we're in it, we can let go of the worry about what's happening and get to the task of bringing support for the journey. Right? So we're not lost. We're not in the, I don't know what's going on. We're in the, okay, let's mobilize to hold ourselves really well. Let's ask the sacred questions. What is trying to happen here? How do I bring support to myself? How do I let the divine work through this? I'd love to take our last bit of time to actually bring in a transformational tool. So whether you're in it right now, or whether you are remembering and knowing of a time when you have been in it, let's bring this support to that. And we're going to bring a simple support. And it's one that we've been working with in this last series a little bit, around bringing in light and love to certain parts of the body. So I'm going to invite you to drop the awareness inward. And just for now, almost with just the ability, like you could just take all the tension off your jaw, your head, and you could just kind of pull that all down and off. And as you let that go with the breath, as you let the stress and strain and tension of thinking and holding and receiving go, you just let all of your focus and presence be with the breath. You feel your body. Maybe it needs a little movement. Maybe the head, neck, and shoulders want to roll a little bit. Just letting your body release some of that. Let there be a couple of sighs. You can even wiggle or shake a little bit if you want. And then feel yourself coming into your body through the breath. You can bring your hands to the heart and the chest. The hands are hands of love and compassion, like, oh my gosh, you are on a journey. And man, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for showing up. I'm so proud of you for saying yes. Even if you didn't consciously know you were saying yes, you said yes somewhere, and I'm proud of that. That's pretty cool. So many people don't say yes. Good job, me. Good job, self. And as you bring breath, really intend, just as you would be looking at yourself, like that look you might have at the sweetest, cutest little puppy or the baby that's cooing, and they're just like, oh, you're so cute. I just want to snuggle you. Feel yourself have that gaze towards yourself. Look at you. You're so adorable over there in your struggle, trying so hard to figure out how to stand up and falling down again, and trying to stand up and falling down again. You're so cute. And I know it's hard. You're working so hard. And I'm so proud of you. This loving, loving stance. And then you start to feel beyond just your love. There is this field of love and grace. You can feel it opening behind you and above you and beneath you, beside you and in front of you. This sphere of love and light. It's like a hug from every direction. The very source of light and love and beauty is all around you. And you start to feel it with each breath. And you begin with each breath to let that beauty know you want to receive it. And the breath is like an invitation, and you draw that grace, that light, that beauty into the places that have been ailing. And as you breathe out, it's like you're just giving the tears, the challenge, the pain over to that beautiful divine embrace. Maybe it's the arms of the Divine Mother wrapped around you. Maybe it's mystical starlight twinkling. Maybe it's this beautiful ancient oak tree that's holding you. Maybe you're in a warm pool of water and it's nourishing you. And it brings you all that you need with each breath in. And you release out into it all the pain and challenge, everything that's complete, everything you no longer need. You let go with ease. And you call upon the angels and guides that walk with you, the fairies and the helpers from the realms of the stars. And with each breath you communicate, I'm in this transformational portal. And I'm open to support that is in alignment with my divine blueprint, holy and divine support from the purest forms of light that exist. And at the same time, you get really clear that this light that's around you is a force field, that anything that would in any way disrupt the transformational process underway is not welcome here. And you declare that by the light that you are, by the light that surrounds you. by the light that you cannot be separated from. I am in the midst of sacred space. And anything that comes to exist with me here is only what serves the highest sacred unfolding. And you breathe that in and you allow the parts of you that have been holding the tension to really receive. And you remember that even though you can't perhaps plug in to certain things, you can't rely on them to be the way you thought they were, that you can rely on this light that you can never be separated from. This light that is woven into the fabric of your being, and that as you tune to it, expands and amplifies, nourishes and nurtures. And you drink it in. You receive the nourishment cellularly, molecularly, biologically, etherically, mentally, emotionally. Every layer of your being is open to the grace that you are sitting within. And you can feel it. Those eyes that you had that were looking at the puppy baby energy, the one discovering life. This is how the divine embrace views you. Look at my precious one. He or she is working so hard to evolve, to remember. And I know, those eyes know you've got this. And that faith, it strengthens you. And you start to remember, I've got this. I don't know how. I don't know exactly where I'm getting the strength from. I don't exactly know how it's going to play out, but those loving eyes, those sacred eyes that remind you you've got this, you feel it. Feel it through your spine. Like all of a sudden you can stand up or sit up straighter. You feel the power in your belly and in your heart. And you feel a little fire. And that fire is alchemy. That fire that's building in your belly, it's alchemizing these places. It's allowing them to transform, to transmute. It's allowing you to transmute. So you let that fire build. You let that flame inside of you, that divine flame, that alchemical flame, build. And you feed it your fears. And you feed it your worries. And you feed it your doubts. And the fire gets bigger. And as the fire burns, there's this beautiful, almost iridescent, bluish smoke that rises up. The transformed energy, and that moves through your body. You receive that, and you keep feeding the fire, the doubts, the part of you that can't even potentially imagine how it's going to work out, and therefore is frozen or scrambling. You feed that into the fire. You feed the part that feels alone into the fire. And the fire burns bigger, and you can feel it. It's physical. You feel the heat. And that swirl of the rising smoke is ministering to you. As you allow the transformation to happen. the power of your own biospiritual system. You can feel it in your heart. Your heart is warm now. There's fire in the heart. And as you allow this to keep happening, little by little, that fire will burn out and you will keep absorbing the smoke. As you do, going to speak our closing prayer. We are deeply grateful to have experienced miraculous communion with our holy wholeness in the soul field. We wholeheartedly receive the upliftment of one another's communion and blessed soul light. As we close this formal gathering, we each in our own way will continue dwelling in the soul field and supporting our collective evolution. With deep gratitude, we thank one another and all our angels, guides, and guardians. Remembering as we minister to ourselves, we uplift one another. We encourage the magic we co-created to ripple out to all our relations for the benefit of all beings. And so, beloveds, we will come together on the fourth Sunday at the end of this month again. We'll start our new series then. We'll come together in meditation on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, which is, what is the date? It is, did not look that up ahead of time. It is, no, not this Wednesday. We'll come together on the 19th in meditation at our 5:10 p.m. on Wednesday. And we'll come together on the 23rd at 11 a.m. for our soul field experience. And I'll see you on Instagram, on Facebook on Tuesday for our first Transformational Tools Tuesday. And for those of you who are old hat in the soul field, that tool will be one that you know well. But I hope I'll see you there. Please remember, if you are with us on YouTube, if you're watching in the Eternal Now, if you're showing up on Instagram or on Facebook with us, please remember to like and comment. It helps other people find this medicine. And so I'm just wishing you all such a blessed week, and I'll see you soon. Our gathering is formally closed, and I'll see you all soon.